Okay, guys, hello and welcome. Today we are going to talk about the opposite of depression. We're also going to talk a little bit about progress, overwhelm, and being incredibly present. The opposite of depression, wait for it, is progression. Being a woman that has gone through depression for so many years, and being somebody who would actually consider herself out of it, having some mastery tools to overcome depression, to flip some of those things that our being is aspiring to. So let's start with just a few clearings on what it would take for us to come out of depression. Do you have a desire for everyone in your world and maybe even the planet to be happy? And I realized that when I noticed one of my kids were unhappy, or my husband was unhappy, or if he just even had a frown on his face, it wasn't related to me, then suddenly I would make myself unhappy, like direct connect, right? So all the double bonds, when the people in your immediate world are not happy, and whether it has something to do with you or not, but you're using it to be unhappy too, because they think that that is love, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that? How much of your desire to be happy is in direct connect with your immediate family being happy? And everywhere where you align and agree that you can't be happy because they're not happy, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. How much do you want more happiness on the planet? A little or a lot? And everywhere where that is a requirement, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. How many matrices, cords, and energetic alignments do you have that are keeping you in a constant jail state of judgment, alignment, and lies around depression or happiness? Everything that is times gazillion, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. How many jails are you using to keep yourself locked up and limited in a constant state of unhappiness because you're in training to the collective of this universe? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate? How many points of view do you have about depression or happiness? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate? How many lives have you created around what depression is and what happiness is? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. Would you now be willing to choose joy? Anything that doesn't allow it, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. Let me just tell them to refresh. It'll give us a second to process. Oh my goodness. Now take a breath and drop totally into your body. Any of the current existing complacency, sadness, depression, anxiousness, overwhelm, frustration, restlessness, irritation, and any other thing that comes in that group of things, would you now be willing to, one, look at, right? Is it true for me? And everything else that's not true for you, would you now destroy? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And take a breath. Again, drop back into your body, come highly, highly present, and take another breath. Now, with these tools, I want to invite you to a world where maybe these excess energies don't have to get in our way when we create, right? To always look for systems that work for you. Never go to like structures. And basically a structure is like something that's not sustainable. It's like something that over time will deteriorate. And the yogic practices, they're like, everything is in a constant state of movement, like this, fabric. Like even if I didn't wear it and wash it, it would eventually like deteriorate. It's just either expanding, right, or it's shrinking. So with your energetic frequencies and these anxiousness and these lies, what if we had systems that would keep us in a constant state to keep us creating and to move into this kind of energetic aspect of don't wait, just create, right? That was initially what I was going to call this call until I was like, just thought it would be more curious if I was like the opposite of depression. I really feel that all of this is sort of the same topic, right? The reason that we're waiting is because of some other distractor energy. It could be, we don't wanna, and maybe we don't wanna based on conclusionary reality, based on kind of a feeling that we have inside that might be depression or boredom or frustration. Maybe it didn't work in the past, so you're not choosing it now. In my world, in my work, really feel that creation, like in its raw terms, is even shifting these energetic frequencies. And if we look at all of these as just energies, what might be possible if we could really master our emotions and really master that our feelings, right? And what might happen if this mastery could really keep us from, getting stuck in the muck. That's a good word. Maybe we should call it that. Getting out of the muck. I would love for you to leave this call having a tool set to get beyond the depression, to get beyond the anxiety, to get beyond whatever is going on. And here are some of the tools that I know to do that. One, the B factor, right? With every single one of this, you could B factor this out. Who, what, where, why, when, and how. You know this tool, it's in the Quest book, and we do it often. And you also know who does it belong to, everything's opposite what it appears to be, and how many points of view do you have creating this, okay? So one more time, I'd like you, anything that's still looming around energetically, if you have something going on, I'd love if you'd put it in the feed, but any other energy that you've got looming around, like, it's like pick it off a shelf in my life sometimes, right? It's like frustration will hit, or anxiousness, or, even the opposite. Like sometimes I'm like giddy, right? Not that I will change that usually because I kind of like that one, but I could, right? And not that they're right, wrong, good or bad. I think they all need to be, they are there for reasons, but let's get real with the reasons. How many lies do you have creating that emotion or feeling and everything that is? would you destroy and uncreate? Cool. All right. So let's talk about overwhelm for a minute. I used to always say, I don't do overwhelm, right? And then I realized that overwhelm in my world just kind of appeared different than how I thought it was. And then I began to, practice some of the tools of access that are direct to overwhelm. And I realized, oh, hey, you know what? I actually was doing overwhelm a certain way. So for let's just kind of play with it for a minute. So overwhelm, like if you say you have, like usually I get overwhelmed when I'm doing a telesummit and I feel kind of obligated to give my speaker some kind of results. I'm like, they gave me a digital product, they gave me their time, and that, I feel like I'm obligated to, show them some traffic, right? To show them some sales, to, I'm the marketer for them. I need to show them this. And I start to get, for the lack of a better word, a little overwhelmed because there's, all these speakers, and I just feel like I've got to deliver. And one of the tools that I was given from another facilitator in Access Consciousness, she said, well, what if you just would show up and do your job and you would focus on one task at a time? And I realized that if I wouldn't never multitask again, I would be great at creating. I'd be great at it. And I want to play with you guys today with overwhelm. And as it might be, these are both tools for the opposite of anxiety, the opposite of depression, the opposite of everything. Maybe that we just step into progress. The opposite of overwhelm is one task process. These are, the easiest way for me and the simplest way for me to have a feeling or emotion and move past it so that I get back into creation. I think there's a part of me that wants to simplify everything, and everything isn't always the same, but an energy is still an energy, and a feeling is still a feeling, and emotion is still emotion. Does that make sense? Okay. She says, Faith said, overwhelm is a funny one for me. It shows up as tons of space. Interesting. That might be because you actually are a little more humanoid than you think. So much space that everything scatters out away from me. And I feel overwhelmed in trying to gather it back. Cool. So cool. Let's go for that one, because that is kind of one that I kind of feel that I have a similar thing for overwhelm. And that might be, another word for that might be unfocused, right? So again, where have we misidentified and misapplied an energy as a condensed feeling? Like, think about this. Like, if this is overwhelm, right? Where you're just like bearing down on a ton of things, right? And like a structure, right? It's all dense and solid. And if we were to expand out, then you have one task, two tasks, three tasks, 4 and 5. And you just need to prioritize. So everywhere where you're doing that kind of energy, where you're contracted and it becomes overwhelm, would you destroy and uncreate? Yes. All right. And then the opposite, if like Faith might have it, maybe instead of it just being out in a lot of dots, right? Because her brain's like floop, 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 you know, and it's just like everywhere. So what if just for a second, she would then allow those little guys to come a little in. So again, they're about this far out. And then she just needs to grab a notebook and go through it, right? Do you see how you could become highly productive if you can deal with these energetics, right? Energetics of anything that's stopping you from being really present and really you. Because often when you are having frustration, overwhelm, even anger, especially if it's like towards creations, that, you know, you can often just expand out just a bit. And then now you can see it, right? It's in my purpose, it's in my vision here, so that you have them and you could now prioritize them. So, let's see, who else is Diane? She says, that's exactly what I've been thinking about. My personality feels like I have to do, or I have no identity, right? Yeah. So going back to creation, right? Creation's also shifting these energies. Creation's also asking, right? Ask and receive universe. Asking for guidance, asking for help. That is creation. And it happens like that in one instant. All right. And Beth says, I've been monitoring my projects so I don't go into overwhelm and not finish. That, right, that's a good one. We'll talk about that too. It's making such a difference. So one of the things that Jack Canfield wrote in one of his books, I think it was called The Power of Focus. Go figure, Faith, it might be a good fun book for you. Is creatives in general, especially us that are visioneers, we really, really love to have an idea and then start it and then not follow through with it to fruition, right? Meaning, you know, that is the riches, right? That comes to you. And, you know, I really got to, okay, instead of like just being a starter, I'm just going to be focused on finishing for a little while, right? And then that turned into, well, I'm just going to focus on the money, right? Because a lot of the creations that I was doing that way, it's like I'd get excited about it. I'd be like, and I'd burn out before I finished it. So now instead of making it perfect, I will get it done. And then I will redo parts of it when it seems light to redo it. Like it's sort of like the people that go out and they will pre-sell, right? Pre-sell before it's even done. I've never been really one to do that entirely. I like to deliver something right away. But you know, that's another way around that is pre-sell it and then you have to do it. So you can kind of trick yourself into finishing. And in my case, you know, get the sale done. So Diane says she's a visioneer on the productivity quiz. Yeah, I think that I think most of you are either a Maestra or a visioneer, or an influencer. I think Faith, you are an influencer. So yeah, I'd love your guys' feedback on, you know, how, once you read the PDF, like what you think about that too. I really think it's impactful. So who else? Who else feels that they're in either a complacent energy or, you know, I used to think the people in my interview series were like bliss junkies. Like they wouldn't really, they'd be on the call and they would like the work that we do with the clearings and the changes, because it opened, you know, their world, right? That it expanded them out. But then they wouldn't actually create change, which that's what I call the new energy, right? When it's uncomfortable and icky, and you've got this like new energy going. So what about you? What is the uncomfortable energy that you're avoiding? That you're avoiding, is there some sort of energy that comes up, right? So say, for example, I am avoiding making sales calls, which I probably am. I just don't know how I would call or make a sale because I don't do business that way. But say that I am, right? I'm avoiding, you know, making a cold call, right? You know, that just saying that, there's this kind of energy to it. I'm not really choosing to grow my business that way, but if I was, I'd be definitely avoiding it. Let's just put it that way. So that kind of energy. Is there an energy like that in your life that you would like to change? Right? You know, what is that? Have you looked at the points of view around it? Have you done the B factor around it? Have you asked who does it belong to? Have you tried to flip it? You know, have you played with any of those? Have any of you done that? Faith says, I'm avoiding the uncomfortable energy of choosing one thing. Why are you trying to choose one thing? What one thing are you trying to choose? If I have you say the one thing that you'd want to choose, would you actually choose it? What one thing are you trying to choose? It's sort of funny because as an online marketer, you know, it's like the sky's the limit. It's like a candy store, right? But sometimes when you market, you know, you kind of have to choose a path, right? If I'm doing YouTube videos, if I'm doing Instagram, if I'm doing Pinterest, you know, it's really good for me to choose a path at the beginning. But Faith, I would like to know, what's the one thing that you're trying to choose, and what are you trying so hard to avoid about it? Let me know. I'm watching the feed for you to answer. What I used to try to choose a niche, right? You know, and then I realized that I could figure out how to communicate, put everything under one niche. I was like, if my niche is high performance and productivity with like this flair of woo, there it is. It's under one category. Diane says, I want to change my lack attitude that I carry. All right, yeah, we can. I'm pretty sure I could probably change that one. We can process a bit on that. That may not be mine. Yes, obviously. I'm not getting there, and I'm seeing the body money connection. Embodied essence brings me more into trust and being an out of worry. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Diane said she'd also buy my Instagram templates. Well, we'll see what happens if that happens. Thanks, Diane, though. It's nice that of your contribution. All right, so lack, right? I have a whole course, it's called Sexy Money, and it would help with that, by the way, if you have that. What lack is you have made some conclusion somewhere along the line that you don't have enough, or there's not enough, or you can't, and you will wait because there's not enough, usually money. So let me ask you this. How old were you when you bought that? And I'll just keep going as if you bought that from when you were a small child and your parents were demonstrating that. We can't buy you those new shoes. We can't buy you this. We can't buy you this. We don't have the money. Blah, 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 blah. What if that narrative was never, ever, ever happened to you? And everything where you bought that you need to live your life just like your parents, would you destroy and uncreate? 1, 2, 3. And what might you be if you were given everything? Would that mean that you would be different? Would you have a different narrative? And everywhere we are living the lie of this narrative since the age of 7, would you destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. And where are you still buying lack? Who does it belong to? And is now your time to change that narrative? Everything that is, would you destroy and uncreate? And lastly, what would you have to see in your world? I'm a Missouri girl, so a lot of it comes back to the show me state. Great, right? But what do you have to show yourself to, what would you have to show yourself to not have lack? And is that something that could be a lighthouse this year? And say you have that come January 2022, would you now be willing to make that a compelling future? Cool. So let me ask you this, did that shift the energy? Right now, it maybe makes you a little more present, a little more in your being. How many other narrative stories and lies have you bought about embodiment, body, money, lack, and why you've always had to wait? Everything that is would destroy and uncreate. Take a breath. Sharon's like, oh my God, it shifted in a major way. Yeah. It's cool how this works, huh? Fate says, I've been tapping into January 2022 version of me every morning. I love that. And making my daily choices from there as of yesterday. Cool. That one little thing has really shifted me too. I'm like, wait, why would I not? Why would I sit around and do the same things I've always done? Because I want something totally different. So now, how many choices can you make by reverse engineering your future? Everything that is. Would you be willing to now choose? Reverse engineer your future. Yeah. Do you kind of notice, like, when y'all get really, really present and you're just like, why am I buying that narrative, right? Do you see how there's like less places to go? Have you noticed the last 2 calls are getting a little shorter because you guys are like letting this stuff go a lot faster? It's just really, really cool. So let's talk about this don't wait, create real quick. So that moment, Diane, that you notice that, lack, or I can't now because, or all of that, right? What if instead of going, I can't because I have to wait for the money, you would go directly to the money, and go, okay, well, if that's required, then what would it take to create that? And get your head totally out of the energy of lack, right? Then it just becomes all create. Does that make sense? Right? Then you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to wait, for the next anything, even if it was a paycheck, right? Recently, I found some. Did I tell you guys this last week, or maybe I've just told too many people this week? I found like $4,000 in an old account for New Wealth Experience. And I was in a joint venture with Darius Barzande. This like 10 years ago, this account was created. And they recently sent me a notification that, it's going to become inactive. I don't really know what that means. I guess the money is still mine if we don't make a transaction. And so Darius and I both got the email. I know he did because he went to the account and took out $50. Didn't say anything to me about it. He just did it, I guess, to keep the account active and didn't necessarily want to deal with it. Well, when I saw that there was one transaction taken out, I called them because I thought, oh my gosh, there's an interest fee, or there's a fee, right? A monthly fee now of $50? No way. If I just ignore that account, it's just going to keep losing $50 every month. This is where my head was. So I called them up and I said, what gives? I'm like, why did you guys just take out $50? And he's like, no, the other joint venture account owner did that. And I was like, oh, okay. Whew, right? And then I was like, well, we had kept that account open in case we were going to work together or do something else together, or if there was other things that needed to go in there that was both of ours. Well, after 10 years, clearly there's not. So I went and I closed that account, and I sent him a little note, and I said, because I'm impeccable with money this year. And I said, so I ended up just closing the account and I need to send you monies. Where do you want it sent? And I sent it to the same email where he sends out his emails. Well, I have him in a folder in Gmail. So every time that I get something from that email address, it goes into a folder in my Gmail. So he did respond right away. And then yesterday I ended up getting a text from his wife, which was thought a little weird, but, and she said, hey, you know what? Just go ahead and send us half and put it in his PayPal. And so it was done and clear. But I tell you, it's kind of interesting. It seems like no matter how much processing I do, I seem to have a charge around money. Even if I'm doing the right thing, I mean, it's an account for both of ours. Yes, would I have liked to just keep all $4,000? Absolutely. But I ended up, having to send 2,000 over, and that's the right thing to do in my being impeccable with money and not stealing or anything. So, but I tell you, there was a moment there where I was just like, I'll just sneak that in. Right. Faith says half minus 50. Yes. And in my head, it took me quite a little while to realize I needed to take out 100 and then split it. But I did that as well. So anyway, long story short, when I did that, I started to get another sign of abundance. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be a great year. And I just know it, whether I, actually jump into massive action or how I go about it, I just have a sense, right? And the reason I have a sense is because I have a lighthouse out there energetically sending me signposts on what I need to choose next. I don't need to, stress about it. I don't need to have a narrative going on in my head. And it's like, oh, this is happening because I'm in lack. And that's because my parents were always in lack. I mean, it's just, It's just narrative nonsense. Ooh, that's a good one. So all the narrative nonsense chatter that you're feeding yourself to make yourself not the greatness that you are, would you now be willing to destroy and uncreate? Baby, that's a good one. Love that one. And everywhere where you're waiting to do something, you're waiting for more money, you're waiting on somebody else, you're just thinking that you have to wait, but you actually don't. Would you destroy and uncreate everything that is? And take a breath. Yeah. Woo. What if, think about this. You are here now. You don't have a narrative. That is all created. That's a lie. My mom used to say these words, the story of my life. How much, like, she would hit a curb and it would blow out a tire and she'd go, the story of my life. I'm like, oh, it seemed kind of cute at the time that my mom would say things like that. But I guess at the end of the day, thank goodness I wasn't starting to story of my life everything. So everywhere where you feel you have to have the narrative, you have to have the story of your life. And what if that story is just your version of the story? What if it actually isn't true? What if your parents had the money, but they just told you couldn't have the new shoes? What if they just fed you a lie even? Everything that is, and everywhere where you've been lied to energetically, and now you're lying to yourself, would you now destroy and uncreate? And take a breath. Cool. Don't wait, create. That also means create energetically. That also means invite in the signposts. It also means invite the awareness from the lighthouses every day, right? Open your vision boards, right? Whether they're in print or Faith made a really cool vision board for her lighthouses. Look at them. Ask, continue to ask. Ask what signposts are in front of me today. This is how we do it, baby. All right, anyway, I'm just having too much fun today. Diane said, silly lies that don't matter. So, how many silly little lies can you let go of today? What percentage of silly little lies can you let go of today? What if we just let go of 5% every single one of these calls? Everywhere where you are unwilling to give up your 5%, would you just try to uncreate that? And take a breath. All the lies that you were given around money, would you cut all the cords and revoke, recant, rescind, renounce, denounce, and destroy and uncreate all of the energies that are used to stop you from creation? How about that one? Whew. And 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Faith said, this really opened up a good space for me today instead of a big overwhelmed space. So thank you. Yeah. Wow. By 2022, we will be very light, right? We keep giving up shit. Here you go. All right. Love it. And in talking about really creating from the lightness of you, what if it really is that simple, because it is, right? So what is it that you're not choosing that if you were to choose it would create and get you to your next signpost? What is it? Do you know? I mean, do you specifically know? Because mine, when I ask that question, I think show up more on social, create a storyline, right? One of the things I have in that Trello program is a storyline, right? Like it has like every week that I have a topic, right? The topics aren't in there. I literally create the topic. Like we leave these calls and then I just keep asking for the next call. And I just allow the signpost to show up. And then after we do the call, I would write the topic and the storyline. But I am consistent about writing the topic and the storyline, right? So we don't have a lot of repetitive, some, right? You need some repetitive to actually make some changes. But what is it? Tell me, what is it for you, right? What else? Like what's going in your head that is slowing you down? And what is it that you're still not choosing that you know if you choose it would give you exactly what you want? You know, like where is that little edge of comfort zone, right? I recently found an app to like, kind of give my Instagram feed I can like kind of lay it out and see which posts come next and things like that. And I'm thinking, I think that's one of them, right? That's the thing that I'm avoiding. And I think it's time, right? It's time to make my storyline on these various platforms very openly. So what is it for you? Because nobody is responding here. I feel like I have to wake you up even more. What is it for you? Tell me. What is it for you? What is it that you're avoiding? What is it that you could be choosing? It's kind of interesting because I have a lot of things kind of in the hopper that I'm waiting, but I'm not waiting on, right? Like one of them is a summit, but I am actively kind of curating who would be on it, right? I mean, not actively, like I'm not going out and hunting down, but if I see something and be like, ooh, they'd be really fun to interview, I'm just collecting them, right? So I feel like that's in progress, whereas there were dates in my life where that wasn't in progress, right? Oh, Diane, that's a big one. Being a leader in the dance of healing. I love that. Aren't you already that? Aren't you already that? Or is that really making everybody aware of it? Right. That's a good one. Sharon says, don't have to wake us up. I'm awake. And these clearings have been profound for me today. Thank you, Sharon. Cool. So we're about to wrap. She's like, and I do need to step out there more and be seen. Yeah. So maybe next week, we already have our next topic, and it'll be all about being seen, being heard, being loud, being the leader, right? And we'll just see what's the universe would like to do on that. But it seems like we'll just say it's being the leader, right? Because it seems like, well, at least two of you are wanting to hide. I said I want to show up. That would make three of us. So who else would have a request? It still always comes back to being all of you. Isn't that crazy? That when we're all of us, we are already that leader. We are that greatness. When we're all of us, we don't have that extra crappy noise of anxiety and depression because we're present in the now moment. isn't that cool that being all of us is also that thing that makes us like create faster, get out of our weight, because there is no self-doubt, there is no insecurity? Isn't that cool that that is the thing that, yes, these tools are great, right? Yeah, they're great. But isn't it kind of cool that it's just this one thing? Be you and change the world. Just be Dane's marketer today. Yeah, cool. Very fun call. Diane said, no faith. Out there is all your beauty and glory. Yeah. I don't know what you mean by no faith. You can tell me in the feed, but yeah. One of my lighthouses, I ended up, I think that this is interesting. Like I wrote them all up, and then as soon as I posted them, I got like a hit from the universe. It's like, no, it's bigger than that, right? And it's still bigger than what they are. But I think what I found was I wanted to be surrounded by beauty. Like, you know, I want, you know, fresh roses, you know, not physically, but kind of that essence. Like, you know, I want the beauty all around me, and I want my work to roll out as a beautiful plan, as a beautiful planner, as a beautiful Trello board, right? I know that sounds kind of flippant or something, but I do. As well as wanting like the beauty of my home and the backyard, and the beauty of like really embodied in the love of my body. You know, I just have to, like, you know, all your lighthouses, like, how can you even make them greater and bigger? And if they're only 90 days, then certainly they will be bigger, right? Anyway, and oh, I did make you guys a playlist out on YouTube. Hey, Renata. She's like, I had to finish something up. You'll like this call. Just, I may wait till it's on YouTube because I'm going to edit a little bit of it. She said, I have to finish something up and multitask. Oops. She said, I could feel the processes running. That's funny. Cool. Yeah, we talked about don't multitask and only one task in this call. So it's funny you mentioned that. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. Same place, same time next week. And you guys, if you, you know, I asked last week for you guys to send me your lighthouses or your 90-day notes, and I've gotten it from 3 of you. If you would like, you don't have to send them to me, but I would love if you would. Thanks, Faith, for, you know, making yours pretty and posting it. I think it just kind of encourages others to post it too. I would also, you know, like to, for the next Quest Zoom, I think it would be really, really fun if you would choose, you know, something that's a little out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself with it. You know, if you have something in your world that's been calling you for your own little challenge, I would really invite you to that. And oh, and a couple other newses. So the Trello, the project is up. I'm still going to add to it. So even if you buy it, you'll get the update to it. Right now it's $97 and includes the 5 Trello boards and like it's like 6 or 7 videos that are, you know, just kind of tells you like, here's your board and look, it's not very pretty, but look at my board and you make yours your own, right? So if that's something you want, that's out. With Naked, I am pushing that off until I'm going to market it like the last week of February, and I'm going to start it on in March. There's something that just doesn't feel exactly right starting at February 15th. It might just be because I'm changing things. I'm not sure what's going on. Either way, we can, just do it within our Quest group, and maybe I don't even market it to new people. So that's something I have to think of. I would like to, I'd like to also change the name of this group. So when I go back to market it the next time, I think I'm going to call it Boss Accelerator and really focus on the entrepreneurs, right? Even though this isn't an entrepreneur group necessarily, I think I like working with you guys as entrepreneurs. So just be aware that I'm going to call it like Boss Accelerator. I just bought the domain name for that. And don't try to rebuy it or anything because it has a new name. I'll keep giving you the heads up. I'm not going to market it again for a while, but I just wanted you to know that. Also, if any of you guys are watching and haven't actually bought Quest, I am going to up the price in about a week. So if you would like it, go ahead and grab it. Again, the link is quest.jeneth.com. I'll go ahead and put it in the comments just so it's here. And it's not a requirement, right, for this call to be in Quest. It's just really fun when you are, because I would like to help you. The cool thing, again, for those of you that aren't in Quest, you could actually have a private session with me for a really low price right now, which is kind of, I think, that makes it kind of beautiful for me. So, all right, we will talk next week on probably something like leadership. So have a great week. And I will also on this feed send you the link to the YouTube. I'm out of here. You have a great day, and we will talk next week.